Hi butterflies, welcome to my garden. Thanks for supporting my channel. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and let's get into the video. Hey, it's your girl Calypso, and thanks for tuning back in to my channel. And if you're new here, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that way you can always be notified every time I post a new video. Okay, I'm back. I'm just being silly. Anyway, so let's just get into it. So today, I'm going to talk about something that's a little bit more trans-centered, and I feel like a lot of trans men and trans women might be able to relate to what I'm talking about. So this is about the pressures of passing. So, by the way, excuse me, I've had a cough for about a month now, and I came down with a cold, and then everything else is pretty much clear, but there's always that lingering cough that just it takes so long to go away. Anyway, so for those who don't understand what passing means, I'll just give you a crash course or just a basic definition of it. So passing in trans terms, passing is typically when a trans person is perceived as cisgender as opposed to the gender they were assigned at birth. So it could be a trans girl who is perceived as cisgender because of the way she looks and how she presents. Or it could be a trans man who is perceived as a cisgender male based off of how he looks and how he presents. So that's basically what passing means in trans terms anyway. So, by the way, when I say passing, this doesn't necessarily, sorry, when I say based on how you look, this doesn't necessarily have to do with the measure of beauty. This mostly has to do with the physical presentation or the physical perception of a person's looks or how a person presents themselves, just a perception of your presentation pretty much. It has nothing to do with beauty, although beauty does play a part, because again, humans, we're visual. We're visual, so beauty does play a part, but I'm not talking about beauty specifically. Anyway, so there's a bit of pressure to pass as a trans person because excuse me, there's a bit of pressure to pass as a trans for a lot of trans people because, let's be honest, like, passing is a currency. It's like a currency. Or beauty is a currency. Passing is a currency. But in this case, beauty and passing is a currency that for trans people, this currency is an exchange. It's an exchange for less prejudice, for safety, for better employment opportunities, and just for all-round mental function, because it's gotta be a huge source of mental duress or mental stress if you have to wake up every day wondering and stricken with anxiety and wondering, like, God, what am I gonna dodge today? What's gonna be coming at me today? Like, that's a real source of anxiety that a lot of trans people, have to deal with. So this is where passing is that currency that comes in exchange for those things, peace of mind and just less prejudice and just going through the world without being stressed out about how people are going to perceive you based off of your gender expression, So not passing or not being able to pass can oftentimes lead to experiences of transphobia. And when I say transphobia, I'm not necessarily referring to violence or brutality or fatality. I'm just talking about, sometimes it could just be verbal transphobia, just people making snide comments, So sometimes not passing can lead to experiences of those because for the most part, a lot of the girls who don't quote unquote pass or blend in, they are the ones who are much more subjected to that. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that that's just the reality that a lot of trans girls and trans men face. The ones that don't pass are just, in most likely and in more often than not, it leads to experiences of transphobia. And yeah, so that's where the currency comes in. And according to an article by, I'm just gonna paraphrase because I took down some notes. So I'm just paraphrasing as well. So according to an article by Lombardi, Melendez, Pinto, and Notbrook, experience of transphobia has consistently been found to be associated with depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem. No arguments from me. And I said this in my previous video about handling rejection and how rejection can also lead to depression. Depression is a black hole. It's like a black hole, and once it starts, sometimes that black hole goes real deep, like a rabbit hole. It just goes real deep, and oh, it's a mental state that could take a long period of time to shake, you know. And for me, I've experienced that. I've experienced it many times in my life, and it so I've come to the conclusion that it's just that deep black hole that I just try everything to avoid. And you know, when I feel it coming on, I make a conscious decision to just do everything I can to distract myself from having to deal. That might not necessarily be healthy either, but you know, I'm just finding coping mechanisms as I go through life, as I go along, you know. So also, not another thing to note is that not every trans individual has passing privilege. Not all of us have passing privilege. I fall into the category of passing, and I'm yeah, you know, they call it passing privilege or pretty privilege, whatever. So I call it a privilege. And it is a privilege because, like I said, it's a currency that not everybody can afford. So therefore, when you're afforded this privilege, it helps if you can use it to your advantage, but also keep in mind, use it to your advantage and try to use it for something a little bit more positive, you know? And not every, like I said, not every trans individual has the ability to pass. And nowadays, there's a lot of blowback on passing. There's a lot of debates on like the validity of passing from trans individuals, especially now with the rise in the non-binary movement. And no offense to the non-binary individuals, but it's something that I'm still trying to educate myself about. So I can't really speak on it because I feel like I don't have the expert knowledge on it. So, or I mean, I know people, I've come across people and associates who identify as non-binary, but I haven't really spent a lot of one-on-one time with them to really have conversations and understand. All I can do is read about it, but that doesn't make me an expert, so I can't really speak on those. But I digress. In the rise of the non-binary movement, the pressure to pass is not as prevalent as it was back in the yesteryears. Because back in the day, passing was a means of surviving. It was surviving. It was a way that a lot of girls were able to survive. Because think 10, 20 years ago, you know, by the way, the trans movement is still behind. We're still fighting for basic rights at this point. In a lot of places, we still don't have access to proper health care. And, excuse me. We still don't have access to proper health care or bank loans or government support. So there's a lot of countries where the trans movement is still far behind. And it's ironic how the T is at the end of LGBT. You know, it's still far behind, but the pressure to pass is not as prevalent as it was, because back in the day, when a lot of trans visibility was still very much underground, passing was the only way to survive. It was one of the only ways of surviving. Even if you wanted to be a streetwalker, you had to look a certain way to be able to make a decent living from that. So it's a good thing, but it's also a bit of a double-edged sword as well, because we all get we all get lumped into one big category, and it's so many individual identities within the trans umbrella. but what I'm specifically referring to in this video is trans feminine individuals and trans masculine individuals, because like I said, I'm not an expert of the whole non-binary movement. It's still something that I'm trying to study on and, you know, be fair in my knowledge. So I'm still reading about it and, you know, trying to ask questions and be respectful about asking questions, because the last thing I want to do is offend anyone on purpose. So it's a good thing in the sense that that pressure is not really there, but it's a double-edged sword, because there's also another side of it where, you know, within the trans umbrella you're fine. Okay, you don't have to pass, it's okay, you can exist in the street. But at the same time, because that pressure is not there anymore, a lot of individuals still get they still get shocked, and there's still a sense of shock when you go out into the real world and then somebody makes a snide comment. You're like, a lot of individuals are still very sensitive as a result. They're still very not mentally prepared to handle it, because there's not that much pressure to pass as well. And also passing is this, and like I said, passing is a mode of survival. Like for me, I fall into the passing category, and that helps me because I'm able to access a lot of things that I wouldn't necessarily access because I'm on my own. You know, I don't have the safety net of family taking care of me. I know this, like I work in the beauty industry. I'm not gonna say specifically what I do, but I have a client whose daughter recently came out as trans, and I don't believe, well, the daughter came out as trans, but she hasn't really taken any further steps into transitioning. And like I said, it's all an individual choice. But this person doesn't really feel the pressure to medically transition. And by the way, this person is now, I believe, 18, and they came out as trans when they were 15. So that's almost 3 years later, and this person, you know, just walks around like, they're dressing the part. She dresses the part, she wears girl clothes, and she's adopted a new identity, a new name, but she hasn't taken any further steps to transition because she's comfortable, you know. So she walks around, you know, with a 5 o'clock shadow and girly clothes and everything. And this is not to knock this person's looks, but I feel like another part of the reason why this person is so comfortable to walk around looking the way that she does is because she also has the comfort of a supportive family as a safety net. Now, if this person was on her own, trying to survive the pressure to find a job and to support yourself, I can tell you one thing, the looks would definitely play a big part. She would pay more attention to the way she looks. Because as a result of that safety or the comfort of having mommy's support and family support, therefore she's very comfortable in taking her time in not putting effort into her physical appearance. Because believe it or not, this is probably going to offend somebody, but it is what it is. I'm just speaking from experience. We're still a very visual society. So if you identify as a trans woman, it helps if you put in a little bit of effort to look the part. And that's where the pressure of passing comes in. I don't think you should put pressure on yourself, because I also think that you should take the necessary steps to walk a little bit extra on your transition. So, don't get it twisted. I'm not the girl who walks down the street and gets clocked and clocked and clocked, because I don't get clocked. But if I was to get clocked by somebody, I wouldn't care, because I am past the point. I'm a few years into my transition where I am not as sensitive. I'm a little bit more desensitized, you know. But this is somebody who gets clocked constantly, and she doesn't care, which is admirable, don't get me wrong. But she's still lucky. Like, she's lucky because she hasn't experienced the really dark side of being mocked or discriminated. Because if she were to, she might take a bit more I'm trying to pick my words carefully. She might work a little bit extra on her transition. Yeah. So I think a lot of girls who have that safety of being supported by family are a little bit more relaxed in their transition, as opposed to other girls who don't have the safety net or the safe haven of home and family, work a little bit more extra on blending in and looking the part. Okay, now that's just the way I see it, and that's just the way I see it. Now feel free to disagree with me. It is what it is, but that's just that's what my experience has been, and my experience is very much as valid as the next person. But I'm just using this girl as an example. I'm not naming names, but yeah, she is the daughter of a client. I'm definitely not gonna name any names because that kind of crosses the line of ethics. So, but that's just what I've observed with this person. She's so like relaxed and almost nonchalant about her transition. Everybody has their method, everybody has their process, but girl, you might want to put in a little bit of effort, you know. You might want to actually study this. You might actually want to, you know, again, it goes back to my trans feminine video. Try to learn femininity like you're learning a foreign language, and invest and put effort into it, because that way you're a little bit more respected. You're a little bit more accessible. You can access spaces and opportunities and chances, as opposed to just being a subject of ridicule and mockery on the constant. You know, I feel like you should work a little bit extra on your transition, put a little bit of effort into it, whether it's a man or a woman. That's just my opinion. I'm sorry. So, in conclusion, for trans feminine women who struggle with dysphoria and the struggles or the pressure to pass, I think patience is a virtue that should be exercised. As long as you're putting in the effort and you're trying and you're working at it, patience should also be a virtue that you adopt, because it's not going to happen overnight. It's no magic process. You know, this is not death becomes her, where there's a pill or there's a potion that you can swallow and then voila, you look the part. You have to be patient and just trust the process and enjoy the process, but don't be lazy about it. That's all I can say. I think you should invest in your transition and work a little bit on it. I already made that point, and I think for the trans feminine girls now, invest in taking a professional makeup class. You know, and it pays off. It might seem like, you know, just unnecessary expenses, but invest in actually going to a professional makeup artist and taking professional classes. Trust me, if you say, okay, can I book you for an hour or two to teach me how to do makeup from scratch according to my skin tone and what's gonna fit and what I need to cover and what I need to pay attention to, I can tell you any ethical professional makeup artist will set aside that time for you and give you a quote that you can, if you don't have the direct money to pay for it, you can save and then pay for it, but invest in taking a professional makeup class. That helps. So that way you know how to paint your face for yourself. That helps. Another point is, I think you should also spend time and get professional advice from a stylist. And by the way, everything I'm saying, this is all within reason, this is all within budget. So you can find it in your budget to take a professional advice from a stylist, retail stylist or whatever, magazines, and they can teach you in case you never got the opportunity to, because not everybody has the talent of being stylish on their own. Not everybody knows how to dress themselves or to dress their body types. So there's nothing wrong with paying for professional advice. That's what they're there for. They actually study these things. There's people that go to fashion school and study style and styling people. So there's nothing wrong with spending that money. In the long run, it helps you, and it helps you. You're investing in yourself. You only have one life and you only have this body. So you might as well invest in it and take care of it in a way that suits you and what you're working with, money-wise, budget-wise, within reason. So invest in a stylist who can teach you how to dress for your shape, your height, your skin tone, whatever. A lot of these little minute details, they come into play and they help in the long run. Now, I think you should also get nutritional advice as well. Now, If it doesn't apply, let it fly. So this is not a one size fits all, but you could, if you need to, get it. The same thing with a dermatologist. That way they can teach you about skincare and all of that, because it all starts from the visual. Your face, your skin, your hair, it all starts from that. Go to a hairstylist, invest in a good hairstyle, or if you're balding, get a wig. Wigs, like, this is in 2021, I'm telling you, there are some sick wigs out there that look just as good. So there's nothing wrong in investing in that. So like I said, it all helps in the long run. It all does wonders in the long run. And yeah, so consulting a dermatologist, skincare advice and everything, it costs money, but it helps. It does help, because this is not something that you're not gonna be going to the dermatologist and going to the makeup artist and going to the stylist for the rest of your life. This could just be a one-time thing that you could do and get as much as you can in that short period. That advice can last you for years. Trust me, when it comes to skincare, I don't play. Maybe I'm gonna make a video about skincare as well, but that will be later on when I have all my ducks in a row as well. So it all pays off, and ultimately patience is a virtue that should be practiced. If you want to take your transition seriously, just put in the effort and just be patient. So I'm not making this video to knock anyone's transition. I'm not making this video to feel like I'm not better than anyone, because trust me, I'm just learning. I'm still learning as I go. But that's the thing, I keep an open mind to learning new things every day. I learn new things. I try to read as much as I can, because it's all about trying to be better than who I was yesterday. So this is just me sharing my opinion. I don't think I'm better than the next person, and I don't think the next person is better than me, but I'm open to learning. This is what this is all about. So that's pretty much what this video is about, and there's a bit of a pressure to pass, and ultimately it's an individual choice, so you just take a step back and decide what's best for you and what works for you, because it's not a one size fits all, and each person has an individual experience and an individual journey. So in saying that, thank you for watching another video of mine, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. And protect your energy, spread love, spread light, and be kind to one another. Okay? Thank you. Bye.